Robyn would never badmouth the mother of her children. Honestly, Robyn shamelessly denigrated the father of her own children on public television. She essentially accused him of assault without considering Dayton's or the daughter's sentiments about their whole life. What a useless piece of garbage. And that she was coerced into an abusive marriage by her SA. A grown-up Dayton was kicked out of the house and put into an RV when he went to see his father. Although Robyn's own kid lives in a caravan, she believed that none else should. When the females could have that whole room to themselves. Jack and Jill bathrooms may be Dayton and Soul's. Since Dayton, even at 24, can't live on his own, as well as crap. For the past 7 years, my husband's 31-year-old son has been living for free in a flat located in the upstairs portion of our home. Hardly seldom offers assistance, and when he does, it's mediocre at best. Works for a time before making a mistake and losing their job. He recently developed a benzo addiction, terrified himself, and begged my 71-year-old husband to assist him, which he dutifully did. Here, things have been really bad. The man sobs, saying that he doesn't understand how to adult. I'm furious as hell. And I sincerely apologize for the difficulties you and your family are facing. Your stepson sounds like my nephew. He spent years living on my dad's land, never working or interacting much with other people. Simply went into hiding and took drugs. By the time he was 30, he had committed suicide. Even though he was in excruciating agony, he managed to conceal and carry on using drugs until it was too late with no repercussion. By allowing this to happen, your spouse is also not doing his child any favors. I'm sure you understand this, and I hope your hubby does too. I'm sending you a ton of love and encouragement. Thanks for the supportive words, everyone. It's really tough. I told my husband that he should inform his other adult children and the man's mother about the situation, as it might become their problem in the future. He believes it's not his story to share, but I strongly disagree. What can I do? I'm not trying to pry, but has your son ever been evaluated or seen a psychiatrist? Sometimes adults who struggle with independence and job stability may be neurodivergent. Undiagnosed ADHD, for example, can be quite challenging. I understand how difficult this situation is. I have 3 children, and 2 are close in age to your stepson. My oldest, who is my stepdaughter, is a recovering addict. We supported her while she sought help and committed to her recovery. I'm proud that she has been sober for many years now. We believe our boundaries and support were crucial in her progress. Your husband's actions are affecting everyone in your household. It might be helpful for him to connect with Al-Anon, which offers guidance on how to deal with loved ones struggling with addiction. They emphasize the importance of not overprotecting addicts, as it prevents them from facing the consequences of their actions. I work in an ER and recently encountered a 19-year-old whose mother was coddling him so much that he seemed incapable of living independently. It was heart-wrenching to see him cry over a blood draw, and I ended up drawing blood multiple times. It's clear that overprotecting can hinder personal growth and responsibility. I also heard about the troubling situation with Kody and his children. It's alarming that a 3-year-old nearly went into kidney failure due to neglect while Kody was responsible. He ended up blaming the other children for the situation, which is deeply concerning. Christine rushed home and took her daughter to the hospital, likely because the situation was urgent and the daughters were so distressed, while Kody dismissed it, saying she didn't have a fever. It's clear that he didn't take it seriously. It's troubling how Robyn's unfounded accusations and allegations have gained traction without evidence. Kody has never faced rape or domestic violence charges from Robyn or anyone else, nor does he have a history of arrests for substance abuse or violence. Yet, Robyn continues to tweak and manipulate the narrative to fit her version of events. She even had Michael T. and Paydon make baseless claims about Preston being a very bad dude in their videos, despite never having met him. It's frustrating that Preston hasn't taken legal action against her, but perhaps he's choosing to rise above it. Regarding Victoria's Secret, I've never associated them with long pants, and it seems likely that she just wanted their brand but didn't want to be judged, so she probably made up the story about needing long sizes. It seems like she's convinced herself of her own narrative, repeatedly telling herself lies or half-truths until she believes them as reality. Her certainty about her version of events is unsettling. I often wonder what's going on with her and Kody. Despite the evidence we have, including interviews they've given themselves, they seem to believe they can manipulate the truth and make us forget what we've seen and heard. It's frustrating how they think they can mislead us so easily. As for the personality test, it seems Christine fabricated the results to make herself look better. The producers could be more effective by creating a compilation of all the negative things she said about her children's father and the original cast, and making her address it on screen. Why does Reddit always manage to unearth evidence that disproves her claims? Listening to her repeatedly say that Christine doesn't want a relationship with her and her kids is infuriating. Christine clearly stated that she needed a break for now, but Robyn seems to need to play the victim to be satisfied. It's great to see that everyone is finally distancing themselves from this toxic duo and their tender five. Is Kody really trying to make himself look like America's biggest jerk just for a paycheck? Blaming others for not loving him? The reality is, he's made himself unlovable, and he should be the one taking responsibility. It's also troubling that he and Robyn are at Coyote Pass, discussing letting it go. They've invested over $500,000 into it, and Janelle and Meri, who also contributed financially, are excluded from these discussions. Kody's handling of the family finances is appalling. Imagine putting your family at risk of losing over $500,000. Robyn used to play the victim with Kody as her hero, but now that he's playing the victim, she's struggling with the role reversal. Maybe that's why she mentioned in the trailer that she's finding it hard to respect him. It seems she got exactly what she wanted, to be the #1 wife with the nice house and a close-knit family. But too much isolation and closeness can backfire, and it's clear the public doesn't have a favorable view of either of them. She clearly doesn't realize how much of what she said is on record. We can easily pull up evidence of her slandering her ex. It might be best if she just stayed silent. Kody has repeatedly said that for a woman to find a new relationship with a good guy, she needs to portray her ex as a monster. I wonder where he got that idea from, lol. They need to address this immediately. Every lie they've told this season should be matched with footage to hold them accountable. And they should ask and demand real answers. It could be the highest-rated episode TLC has ever had. I hope the producers see this. If I'm not mistaken, and I could be, didn't they revisit an episode to show that Robyn did take the personality test, despite her claim that someone else, Christine, took it for her? It would be great if they did this for other instances as well. Everyone on this show has contradicted themselves at some point, but they never seem to roll the tapes. I wonder if Kody has some clause in his contract preventing this. Other shows manage to do it all the time. I don't think Robyn is outright lying, but it seems she's playing by different rules. I believe she's referring to Kody, not her ex. Robyn seems to operate under the belief that Kody is perfect and her perfect customer, while her ex isn't worth considering. Hence, her behavior towards him doesn't count in her eyes. Imagine what she must say about her kid's dad in private. I wouldn't be surprised if she told them their biological father didn't want them and that Kody is their real dad now. It's shocking how much Robyn and Kody have badmouthed Christine on camera. They could use a flashy device from Men in Black to erase our memories of their statements. The psychological impact on the kids from having their pictures superimposed with Christine's family and Kody's babies is staggering. For Dayton, who has memories of his dad, seeing that imagery must be incredibly confusing, essentially erasing their biological father. It's truly disturbing. Robyn and Kody clearly follow the same manipulative playbook. No matter what they've done or what's on film, they craft a new narrative that suits them, trying to convince everyone to accept their latest version of events. Watching this episode, especially knowing how it ends, was both sad and infuriating. Robyn remains delusional, and Kody continues to avoid responsibility for anything. It's frustrating to see neither of them taking accountability. I'm seriously considering whether I can keep watching. I hate to sound like a hater, but thinking aloud. Robyn seems to lack personality and doesn't come off as trustworthy. Why stay on the show if you're not engaging? She looked off from the start, and it's more than just editing. After watching today's episode, I went back to verify if I heard her comments correctly. She might be delusional, and I haven't heard anything positive from her about Dayton or Aurora. Robyn claims she gave 100% of herself to the Brown family. Are we just going to let that slide without calling her out? She focused all her effort on Kody, ensuring he spent time with her kids while neglecting contact with his children from other wives. That's just one example. I'm rewatching season 2, and it's clear Robyn is claiming to give more than 100% to this family. Why is she downplaying her efforts? She has strong opinions about everything and inserts herself into situations she wasn't invited to. For instance, in the episode where the OG3 visit the church for a youth group, Robyn's presence is unwarranted. The focus was on Logan, Maddie, Leon, and Aspen, but she made it all about her. Watching that episode yesterday, I wanted to mute her when one of the older girls, Maddie, called out the parents for their inconsistency in allowing kids to choose their belief systems but failing to follow through. Robyn's constant need to insert herself and make everything about her is frustrating. Robyn chimed in, yelling, "When you're older and your frontal lobe is developed." It's astounding how she's been in the family for such a short time and is already reprimanding another mom's kids for expressing a valid point. I'm not a fan of Meri, but Kody's attempt to rewrite history is frustrating. He acts like he was never in love with her or had any meaningful history with her. I truly believe he led Meri on for years while she was in love with him. Then, when she was desperate for attention, she got involved in the catfishing situation, which I suspect Robyn might have had a hand in. Now, Kody acts as if they never had a good relationship and that he chose her for marriage merely because she was available. It's insulting. Does anyone else agree? You're right on the mark. I bet Kody from 1999 would be appalled at the man he's become and probably shocked that he and Meri aren't together anymore. The man who fought back tears singing to her at their wedding chose to do so out of love and to make her feel special. The way he danced with her, holding her close, guiding her gently, and even dipping her, shows that he loved her then. Now, he's simply lying about their past. It's baffling because he could have pursued anyone else. There was no necessity to pick her. He should just admit that he stopped loving her at some point and felt stuck. That would be bad enough, but at least it would be honest. I agree that he is rewriting history. He did love Meri at some point. But do you think there was no pressure to choose Meri? Given Meri's dad's role as Kody's mentor and his connections within the church, there might have been some unspoken pressure. The book describes how Kody and Meri grew close through spending time with his sister and then one-on-one, which suggests there might have been some influence from her father. Once they started their relationship, it would have looked bad if Kody ended things with Meri, making the situation quite complicated. This notion only applies if Kody met Meri's family before meeting her. It's plausible that he met Meri first, and her family liked him and wanted him to marry her, leading them to welcome him into their circle. I honestly don't think Kody felt much pressure. He seems to be justifying his current feelings as if he's a victim. He claimed he felt pressured to marry Christine, and next season, he'll probably say he felt pressured to marry Janelle. Maybe it's because I've been engrossed in books about the Tudor dynasty, but Kody reminds me a lot of Henry VIII, altering his perception of his religion to suit his needs and demonize his exes. At least he didn't go as far as trying to behead Christine for heresy. I do believe Kody loved Meri to some extent in the beginning. Now, he's promoting Robyn as his soulmate and true love. While he seems to love Robyn in a different way, that doesn't mean he should discredit his past feelings for Meri. He should consider Meri's feelings, but of course, it's Kody we're talking about. Christine's assessment seems accurate. Kody thought he was soulmates with his original wives until he met his true soulmate in Robyn. If he would just admit that, people might be more understanding. They all got married so young, and the personal growth and changes they went through must have transformed them into different people. Kody seems to think it's better for his ego and image to stick to the lie that he was merely doing Meri a favor by courting her. But they genuinely loved each other, close to what many consider first love. They even had a nickname for each other, Lover. Instead, Kody lets his ego shape his narrative, which is ridiculous. There are 18 seasons of television that disprove his claims. Exactly. It must be a bitter pill to swallow for Meri to hear that Kody found his soulmate in someone else. At least he could show some dignity and leave the mess behind. But no, he blames everyone else. From the early seasons, it's clear Kody was in love with Meri. Janelle also mentioned that Kody and Meri often went on trips together, suggesting they enjoyed each other's company a lot. Kody's facial expressions and body language around Meri indicate he loved her. Kody's current attempts to rationalize his behavior and claim that he never loved Meri seem like a desperate effort to justify his neglect and mistreatment of her. It's clear he's trying to shift the blame and preserve his own image. By insisting he never cared for Meri, he's trying to absolve himself of responsibility for the pain and suffering he caused her. This tactic also serves to reinforce his narrative that Robyn is his one true love, which helps him keep her content and maintain their current dynamic. It's possible that Robyn subtly influenced Kody's views on Meri from the start. Her quick takeover of Meri's position as the legal wife suggests that she may have been working behind the scenes to undermine Meri's status in the family. This kind of manipulation could have contributed to the widening rift between Kody and Meri, making it easier for Robyn to consolidate her own position. The situation is further complicated by the catfishing scandal and the subsequent public revelations about Meri's disparaging comments about Kody. Kody's insistence that he never loved Meri might be his way of retaliating and saving face after the humiliation of the scandal. By downplaying his past affection for Meri, he not only attempts to hurt her but also tries to reframe the narrative to fit his current reality. The term lover that Kody and Meri used for each other is significant. It reflects a level of genuine affection and intimacy that contrasts sharply with Kody's current portrayal of their relationship. It's disheartening to see him now reject the very concept of their past love, especially when he continues to preach about eternal sealing and the importance of family bonds. Meri was just 19 when they got married, a young age that often involves intense emotions and idealistic views about relationships. In their context, where casual dating was not an option, getting married was likely seen as a natural step. The wedding flashbacks show that there was genuine excitement and love between them, which makes Kody's current denial of those feelings even more hurtful. Kody's behavior towards both Meri and Christine reflects a troubling pattern. His treatment of Meri, including telling her that they're never going to have a relationship and then further torturing her by saying he picked the wrong woman, is a form of emotional abuse. It's clear that he's struggling with his own ego and inability to accept responsibility for his actions. His refusal to acknowledge his past feelings and his tendency to blame others rather than himself only highlight his narcissistic tendencies. The situation with Christine is also revealing. When Christine decided to leave, Kody's reaction was intense and emotional, showing how deeply his ego was wounded. His behavior towards her, especially after he admitted he no longer loved her, further illustrates his difficulty in dealing with his own shortcomings and the consequences of his actions. Overall, Kody's actions and statements reflect a complex mix of self-preservation, ego, and denial. His attempts to rewrite history and his ongoing blame-shifting are damaging not only to his relationships but also to his credibility. The long-standing affection he had for Meri and the dynamics of their relationship cannot be erased or denied, no matter how much he tries to alter the narrative. Kody seems to be using his denial of past affection for Meri as a way to rationalize his current behavior and the neglect he's shown her. He's trying to paint himself as a victim in these situations where he feels rejected, which extends to Janelle and Christine as well. I find it hard to believe that Meri has been pining for Kody all these years. Her statement about Vegas being a new beginning could easily have been her interpretation, as it was meant to be a fresh start for everyone in the family. If Meri was holding on, it was likely more about staying connected to the family and enjoying the benefits, rather than solely for Kody. The catfishing scandal ended any chance of reconciliation because Kody's ego couldn't handle keeping her around, and he made it clear multiple times on the show that he was done. As for Meri, it seems she's reluctant to fully own up to her part in the catfishing incident. She doesn't seem to acknowledge how her actions contributed to the scandal. While I agree that Kody's ego has played a role in his refusal to mend things with Meri, Meri also needs to confront her own shortcomings. She has a history of being unsatisfied and having expensive tastes, which has affected her relationships with the other wives. It's time for her to move past the victim mentality and take responsibility for her role in the events that transpired. There are also some doubts about Robyn's involvement in the catfishing scandal. It's been suggested that Robyn may have introduced Meri to someone who then led her to the catfish, creating a situation where Meri was deceived. Whether Robyn was complicit or simply connected Meri with someone who ended up being involved in the scandal is still up for debate, but there's a possibility she played a role in orchestrating it. I completely understand where you're coming from. It's clear that Kody's current narrative is at odds with the history we've seen play out on the show. His denial of any love for Meri seems to be a way to justify his current behavior and reinforce his relationship with Robyn. It's also plausible that Robyn, with her manipulative tendencies, could have been involved in the catfishing scandal, especially if it meant driving a wedge between Kody and Meri. Kody's treatment of Janelle and Christine as mere partners rather than romantic interests is really telling. It seems like he's trying to rewrite the past to fit his current narrative, which is not only disrespectful to the women involved but also misleading to viewers who have followed their stories. Your analysis of Kody's love for Meri and Robyn, and his subsequent behavior, really highlights the complexity of their relationships and the emotional fallout that has ensued. It's a shame that the show doesn't address these contradictions more directly, but it sounds like you've got a keen eye for the underlying dynamics.